What's the worst dentist experience you've ever had? Drilling a cavity. They didn't give me enough to numb my jaw. I told him to stop because I could feel it. He just said he'd be done shortly and kept going. A dentist rear-ended me and totaled my car. That must have been some intense lovemaking. My dentist once used suction on my uvula. It stretched to 2 times its regular size and was swollen for 3 weeks. Aside from constantly choking on it the entire time it was swollen, it was also very painful. At least she got a chuckle out of it. I'm convinced the simple rinse and spit would have gotten that little piece of filling off the back of my throat no problem. Read uvula as vulva until I realized people generally don't have teeth in their vulva. I was 12 and needed fillings. They gave me no Novocaine. I made sure not to scream because I thought it was all normal and didn't want to seem like a bee. I proudly told my mom after that I got them done with no Novocaine and she flipped crap on the dentist. I had the same thing happen to me. I was 6 and went to some dentist's house in Ukraine to have a bunch of fillings done for cheap, and for some reason Novocaine wasn't used. It was horrible and left me with a fear of dentists for a long time. He argued with me that I wasn't knocked out to have my wisdom teeth removed. I had it done before this guy even qualified and became a dentist, but not too long ago, maybe 4 years prior at this point. He's an arrogant little crap and I hate him. I always ask for a different dentist when I can. The conversation went something like this. Me. Yeah, my roots were pretty gnarly so they knocked me out to take out the 2 bottom ones. I had a handprint bruise round my jaw so I think they had trouble getting them out. Dentist. No, they don't knock people out to remove wisdom teeth nowadays. Me. No, I was definitely knocked out. As I said, the roots were really deep and twisted so the specialist agreed to let me be knocked out for it because it was gonna be a rough one. Dentist. Number. They don't knock people out to remove teeth anymore. It's all done by local anesthetic. Me. No, I was knocked out. I mean, I know I was asleep but I was there. Dentist. No, they don't knock people out for removing teeth anymore. Me. Okay, you're clearly having some kind of stroke. Goodbye. I was put out to get mine pulled. I had 5, one of which was really high up and I guess they had to really cut to get to it. My wisdom teeth were very odd. The roots were all twisty and they ended up fracturing my jaw trying to pry it out. I was awake for it all and the sound of my jaw breaking made me throw up. My face was purple and swollen for 2 months. Still had to pay $1,000. Those lovely little contracts that demand payment even if they accidentally kill you during the procedure. Not sure if this counts, but once, my own mother tried to pull out a loose tooth in my mouth with only the Muppet Show theme as anesthetic. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight. Went to the dentist as a child for a routine cleaning. The nurse came in with a syringe of Novocaine already prepared and was injecting me before I could even ask why. I was numbed up when I mentioned that I was just there for a cleaning, and she just kind of gave me this deer in the headlights look. Medical professional LPT, make sure you're in the right room with the right patient before you start injecting them with crap. My anxiety is so bad, my dentist decided that my cleanings also require Novocaine. Though it doesn't last as long as the ones used for fillings and such, I'm grateful for it. Does the orthodontist count? Because he chipped both of my back molars taking my braces off, then realized that he shouldn't have taken them off yet since my teeth weren't fully corrected yet. He then tried to sell me on an expensive surgery to basically snip the fibers, holding my teeth in place and manually straighten them. I noped out of there with my still crooked teeth and never went back. My dad was getting his molars done because he had never gotten them removed and they accidentally chipped one of the teeth and were unable to get it out. So they charged him full for the procedure and was forced to call a specialist to get it fixed. As a child, pre-adult teeth, my mom was constantly getting yelled at by dentists because my teeth were rotting so badly, despite having a normal brushing routine and everything. It took a kind, younger dentist who'd worked on sugarcane workers in Haiti to do a few tests and find out I have an obscure degenerative bone condition that tends to start with teeth and could affect other bones later in life. I'm 25 now, and finally starting to come to grips with the fact that I can't afford implants, and never will, and will probably need dentures within the next few years. It sucks. Once the dentist slipped and drilled my lip. That's where the phobia started. While getting a tooth drilled, the drill bit came off in my mouth and lodged in my throat. Dentist said don't swallow it when I was coughing it up. I'm so sorry. Not the worst experience for me, but for the dentist. I'd had a terrible time with dentists when I was younger, so I didn't trust them much. Also huge fear of needles. Had to have 2 teeth pulled. Signed waiver for no anesthetic. Dentist was terrified of the pain he might be causing me and whimpered apologies through the whole procedure. The dentist seems like a nice person. One time she dropped a metal instrument down my throat. Freaking sucked coughing that back up. This made me cringe. I can't imagine how scratched up it made your throat. I have a difficult time keeping my mouth wide open for that long. It hurts my jaw and I usually can't keep my tongue down and out of the way the whole time. I imagine this only makes their job more difficult, but the dentist makes it awkward because he always comments on how I have a strong tongue. Then he and the dental hygienist share a look and I can tell they're smiling at each other underneath their face masks. It's sort of uncomfortable. My new dentist has a wedge thing that you can rest your mouth on while they work in the front or on the other side. It's freaking amazing. So mine is from a dentist that I was assisting with. She had bought the practice and had the mindset of getting as much of the treatment plan done in one appointment. This guy had one tooth to be extracted that day and another one some other time because it was infected and needed antibiotics. She decided to try pull it but the anesthetic didn't work fully. He screamed and told her to stop but she didn't, and he pretty much left crying in pain. She offered me a job and I never talked to her again. Heck no. Finally I get to tell this story. I was 8, on a camping holiday in France with my family. My tooth had been hurting all week long but I'd been trying to hide it from my parents because I'm terrified on the dentist. Eventually they see me holding back tears trying to eat ice cream and take me to a local emergency dentist. Thanks you. Because I am a huge wuss. My dad comes in to hold my hand and my mom waits in the waiting room, despite her being fluent in French and my dad being not. After the examination, the dentist explains to my dad that I'll need a filling, and it'll be relatively quick and easy. Somehow in my dad's brain this translates to her tooth needs pulling out. He relays this information to me and I promptly lose my crap, standing up on the chair and screaming. My mom comes running in and takes in the scene. Her face was a picture. Somehow I was talked down. My mom gave a proper translation, and within 20 minutes I was happily running around France again and my dad was in the doghouse for the rest of the trip. Great dentist overall, but one time he said oops and stabbed my cheek, which ended up bleeding for a while. Nothing really came out of it, other than realizing how none of my dentists have ever said oops before. He honestly probably could have gotten away for it if he pretended it was normal. I had to have a root canal on a broken tooth at 7 months pregnant, and I knew things weren't according to plan when the otherwise professional and gentle endodontist muttered well, crap, under his breath. Where they tried removing a tooth, couldn't, and left my tooth sitting above my bite line so couldn't close my teeth together. Dentist stuffed cotton balls down my throat and tried to strangle me when I was a kid. Routine dentist visits to get x-rays and such. Kicked him in the face, got up, and ran the frick back to the waiting room where my mom was. To this day I have a phobia of dentists, and even though my current one is pretty okay I have to pretty much force myself to go. My mom really wanted me to get braces, so in order to do it they had to pull 4 of my baby teeth. Basically the point of this is so I could get braces when I was in 4th grade, otherwise no other medical reason for this. The guy who did the extraction was very old school. He strapped me to the table with leather straps, like you would see with someone getting electroshock therapy, or in Mike Pence's VP Dungeon. They then gas masked me to make me silly, and for some reason kept throwing this painful liquid into my eyes. If I flinched he would slap me. Would not recommend this experience ever again. The procedure wasn't even painful to the mouth. It was the other stuff involved, and the sadistic place it was done at. Even creepier, the dentist committed suicide a few months later. What the frick? The same dude who talked crap about me while I was in a twilight state on triazolam later drilled through my molar into my jawbone and tried to pretend everything was okay and or not his fault. I've had many, but the one that was most unpleasant was when I had a temporary crown on one of my front top incisors that wouldn't come off. So the dentist used some kind of pliers to grab the tooth and basically snap it off in half. Then he used the drill to remove what was left. That snap shook my whole head and I still have flashbacks occasionally. I know it was just a crown, but it sure felt like a normal tooth. OHH, that's awful. I had a temporary crown on a molar that they made using the wrong material, so they had to drill and chip the stupid thing off. The scraping sounds are in my nightmares. Got my wisdom teeth removed with a local anesthetic but no laughing gas, which apparently is the most common way to do it. Had to have one of the teeth sawed in half and removed in 2 different pieces, so it was more like having 5 teeth removed. Honestly, the most painful part of the experience was the pressure the dentist was putting on my lips trying to pull them out. Pretty sure he would have had an easier time if he put his foot on my forehead and lifted with his legs. When I was 5, a dentist pulled 2 of my teeth without anesthesia. The guy was a sick mother. He did it on purpose. How do I know that? Because that same year, he placed razor blades on his high school son's football gear. Both him and his son were arrested. It was a huge scandal in our small town. Dude was a sadist and liked hurting kids. He sent his staff out to lunch, turned off the lights, and came up from behind me while I was in the chair. He kissed me and tried to lay on me. I screeched and ran. I told the dentist that I still wasn't numb after the Novocaine, so they shot me again, and again, and again. I insisted that I still wasn't numb. Well, he starts pulling my tooth anyway and I screamed, worst pain I have ever felt. He just continued with that and the other tooth while I'm flailing and screaming my lungs out. I have never experienced anything that awful and am now terrified of going to the dentist. My dentist put me to sleep as a child. I woke up with a pulling sensation in my jaw and realized he was pulling out a tooth. I had only gone for a checkup as I had nice baby teeth still. My mouth was full of dangly bits and I was bleeding a lot. His nurse pushed me into a side room, obviously out of the way of other patients, and told me to wait there. Ages later my mother was shown in and I could see from her face that she didn't agree with what she was being told, i.e. I needed a bad tooth pulling. I didn't have any bad teeth FFS. It transpired that this dentist was later arrested on many charges related to other children having good teeth pulled. He was declared mentally unstable and crossed off the dental register. Bastard. Jaw unhinged during the filling and did not realize till it was all done and I could no longer close my mouth. On another occasion they forgot to do the numbing process before the filling and I tried to tough through it for about 10 minutes. So I broke a part of my tooth off from eating too many cough sweets when I had a cold. I went to the dentist and they gave me 2 options. 1. We fill it up and hope for the best. 2. We do a root canal, that way nothing could go wrong in the future. So I chose a root canal. Family and friends told me it should go fine. A little painful but you should be okay overall. So the day comes. They get the anesthetic and numb me, but the anesthetic doesn't do much. I feel a lot of it. I grin and bear and they add more anesthetic. Then the drill reaches the nerve and I jump and near enough scream. The dentist and her assistant are both looking terrified at one another. They quickly fill up my mouth with some filled and practically throw me out the door. I remember after going to the job center to explain why I am late and why I am drooling from one side of my face. I will say, if you ever want to torture someone, go for their teeth. So many nerves, so much pain. Later that very filling fell out on holiday, exposing the nerve. The pain. Went to the dentist to get a chipped tooth fixed, and I told them before I went in that it's gonna need fixed. So I go in and wait in the waiting room for a solid 20 minutes. Then when I finally get to go back, the dentist look at my teeth for like 2 minutes. Then says, yep, those need fixed. I reply in a sarcastic tone, really? Are you sure? Yep. Well, are you gonna fix them? Oh no, you'll have to make another appointment for that. Then when I go back to the dentist to get the tooth fixed, they have a nurse in there who was obviously new and didn't have a dang clue what she was doing. Do they decide to fill it with that weird plastic crap that they gotta shine the light on to harden? So they get it filled and the nurse shines the light on it for what she thinks is long enough. So the doc goes to take the mold out and the filling comes out with it. Cause the freaking nurse didn't shine the light on it enough. Luckily I was numbed up anyway, cause I got a couple cavities filled too. But there is nothing scarier than when you have a doctor with tools in your mouth say, oh crap, Needless to say, I didn't go back after that. Actually, I haven't been to any dentist since then. Dunno why you call the composite resin weird plastic crap. It's pretty typical to use to fix minor chipped teeth and usually lasts 5-10 years at least. My dentist kept missing my teeth and consequently scraping my gums. I didn't bleed or anything, but it was quite painful. You have been outsmarty boo the smart doggo for intelligence. Subscribe to Updoot Reddit to gain +3 Ys from Doggo of Intelligence. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.